Okay, so today we're going to be tackling AI therapy. Seems like it's getting a lot of buzz out there. We got a ton of really cool stuff from you all this week. Some articles and a YouTube interview with the co-founder of a company called Alomia Health, Michaela. They're doing some really fascinating things.
Yeah, it is a really interesting space, and it's moving so quickly. I mean, it used to be that AI was, for more like image recognition and sorting through data, and now it's really stepping into the space of, emotional support. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really is kind of blowing my mind. And I think one of the articles that we got called Artificial Intelligence and Positive Mental Health does a really nice job of laying out what we mean by AI. You know, these systems that can perform tasks that we usually think of as requiring human intelligence.
Yeah, like teaching machines to learn, understand, and respond in ways that until recently, really only people could.
Right.
And, it's not about replacing human connection, but it's more about kind of exploring how this technology can help us navigate the complexities of our emotions and our well-being.
Yeah. And I think a big part of that is this idea of machine learning that the article also talks about, which is this way for computers to learn from a ton of data without, someone having to explicitly program every little step.
Yeah, it's like, if you're teaching a kid to ride a bike, you can explain the concept, but they really learn by doing it, falling down and adjusting. So it's similar with machine learning. The computer is practicing with data, and it gets better at spotting patterns and then can use that knowledge to, make predictions or decisions.
Gotcha. So how does this all play into mental health? Well, the YouTube interview with Michaela, I think, really brings this all to life. She started Alomia Health with this vision of using AI to really help people. And get this, she had this vision years ago before the tech was even close to being ready.
Yeah, I mean, her foresight is really remarkable because she saw the potential of what is called generative AI. And that's the type of AI that can create text, like chatbots, but way more advanced. And she saw this long before it kind of hit the mainstream.
Yeah, and instead of, rushing to build something right away, her company really focused on gathering the right data for years. And get this, they actually threw out more than half of the data they collected because it wasn't up to their standards.
It shows a real deep understanding that with AI, it's not just about quantity, it's about quality. Because if you train an AI on bad data, you're going to get bad results.
Right. Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. So they knew that the data had to reflect the, nuances and complexities of real human conversations.
Okay, so their AI therapist is using this massive collection of data that they gathered. They've organized it into these complex models that are constantly being updated
Yeah.
as people use it.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about machine learning. It's always learning and adapting. Every interaction helps it refine, its understanding of human emotions and responses.
So one of the things that Michaela emphasizes in the AI-powered mental health assistant video is how important it is for their AI to be neutral. When it comes to things like race or gender or sexual orientation.
Yeah, it's all about making sure that everybody feels seen and heard, regardless of, their background. And we want AI therapy to be inclusive so that people feel safe and understood.
Right. And in order to make that happen, they've made anonymity a core part of their therapy. So you can share your concerns without worrying about being judged.
Yeah, I mean, anonymity can be incredibly empowering, especially when it comes to mental health. It allows people to be more vulnerable and open, which can then lead to more deeper insights and more effective support.
And they're seeing some pretty incredible results. In their initial study, they had over 7,000 people.
Yeah.
And the users actually felt like they were talking to a real person.
Yeah, it really speaks to the power of natural language processing
Right.
and how far AI has come in understanding and responding to, human emotions. So it's no longer just about spitting out some pre-programmed responses. It's really about engaging in a meaningful and empathetic way.
And it's not just about making people feel heard. They've actually received letters from users saying that the AI saved their lives.
Hmm.
By being there during a crisis.
It really, if you think about it, having someone to process your emotions with, can be a lifeline, especially when you're feeling overwhelmed or on the verge of a breakdown. So AI can provide that constant non-judgmental support
Right.
and help people kind of navigate these difficult moments.
Michaela actually uses this really powerful analogy of drowning
Yeah.
to describe how suicidal thoughts can feel.
Mm.
She says that, the AI is like a life preserver that keeps people talking and lets that water flow out
Yeah.
and prevents them from, going under.
It's a stark but very real illustration of, the potential impact that AI can have. Sometimes simply having someone to listen can make all the difference.
So, she even mentioned this term transformers being used in their AI. Can you break that down for us non-techie folks out there?
Sure. So imagine you're reading a sentence. You're not just processing each word on its own right. You understand the meaning by considering all the words together and how they relate to each other. So transformers kind of work similarly. Instead of looking at words in isolation, they analyze these relationships between words and help the AI grasp the context and meaning of the entire conversation.
So instead of just reacting to keywords, it's actually understanding the bigger picture.
Right.
Wow,
Like a human would.
that's amazing.
Exactly.
And she also talked about this red button algorithm. What is that all about?
So it's like a safety net
Ve-
built into the system. And it's designed to pick up on signs of distress or crisis in the conversation, like if someone's expressing suicidal thoughts. And if it's triggered, it can either alert, human professionals or immediately connect the user with helpful resources.
Wow. So it's like having a guardian angel
Yeah.
watching over the conversation,
It is, yeah.
making sure people get the right support.
It speaks to their commitment to user safety. They're not just building an AI that can talk, but they're building one that can understand and respond to the full spectrum of human emotions.
Including when someone's in danger. That's so important.
Yes.
And it's not just, one AI doing all of this. She said they're using something like 16 different AI models.
Think of it like a team of specialists, each with their own expertise. So one model might be great at recognizing emotions, another at providing coping strategies, and another at identifying, signs of crisis. And they all work together to provide comprehensive and personalized support.
So it's not like one super smart AI. It's like
Yeah.
a whole team of AIs collaborating.
It reflects how human intelligence works too. We rely on different parts of our brains for different tasks, and AI is starting to mimic that complexity and that specialization.
That makes a lot of sense. So how did they actually get all the data to train these AIs in the first place?
Well, their approach was really innovative. They actually started with a free bot on Facebook Messenger that offered, just basic psychological support. And they used those interactions to gather data.
So they were tapping into real conversations.
Yeah.
Wow.
Real people.
Okay, so they were getting like real insights from people who are actually seeking help.
Exactly.
That's a pretty smart way to, build a realistic data set.
And it allowed them to capture the diversity of human experiences and, the different ways that people talk about mental health.
Right.
Which is essential for training an AI that can, truly understand and respond to those nuances.
And they worked alongside psychologists throughout the entire process.
Yeah.
To make sure the data was accurate and that the AI was learning the right things.
It's so important that collaboration, between the tech experts and mental health professionals.
Yeah.
Because it ensures that the AI is grounded in sound psychological principles.
Right.
And that it's developing a genuinely helpful understanding of, human emotions and behavior.
So Michaela also mentioned that the average age of their AI models is only about 6 months.
Yeah, that shows how fast AI development is moving. I mean, they're constantly evaluating and updating their models, incorporating the latest research, making sure that their AI is always at the cutting edge.
Wow. So it's not a static system. It's constantly evolving and improving. That's pretty reassuring.
Absolutely.
But with all these advancements, what are some of the limitations we need to keep in mind?
Well, it's important to remember that AI therapists aren't meant to replace human therapists altogether. They can be amazing tools for support and guidance, but there are some things that AI simply can't replicate.
Like what?
Well, think about those subtle cues that a human therapist picks up on. Body language, tone of voice, the way that someone hesitates before speaking. Those things can reveal a lot about a person's emotional state, and AI just isn't quite there yet in terms of being able to pick up on all those nuances.
And then there's also just the power of human connection itself, the empathy, compassion, shared understanding between a therapist and a client can be incredibly healing.
It's about creating that safe and trusting space where people can explore their deepest emotions and vulnerabilities. And while AI can offer support and guidance, it may not be able to fully replicate that depth of human connection.
Right. So it's really about finding the right balance, using AI to enhance and expand access to mental health care, but not seeing it as a complete replacement for the human element.
Absolutely.
So Michaela also mentioned that they use some pretty sensitive data to train their AI, including like the last posts of people who committed suicide, and even a diary from someone who took their own life.
Yeah, that does raise important questions about how we use such sensitive information in AI development, while the goal is to, prevent future tragedies. by helping the AI recognize warning signs. We need to be very careful about how we handle data that's so personal and potentially triggering.
It's a good reminder that technology, even when used for good, can raise complex ethical considerations.
Absolutely.
So transparency and user consent are absolutely crucial.
Yeah, people need to understand how their data might be used and have the ability to say no.
And we need to be mindful of the potential impact on the families and loved ones of those whose data is being used.
Yeah.
It's a delicate balance between advancing research and respecting the privacy and dignity of individuals.
Yeah, finding that balance is really important.
So one thing that really stood out to me in that YouTube video
Yeah.
is how important it is to have that continuous communication and support
Yeah.
when you're dealing with mental health issues.
Yeah, sometimes just having someone to listen to validate your feelings, and be there without judgment can make all the difference.
And that's something that AI therapists can offer. That constant availability
Yeah.
and non-judgmental presence.
It's like having a supportive friend that's always there for you,
Right.
ready to listen.
But of course, it's important to remember that AI therapists
Yeah.
aren't meant to replace human interaction entirely.
Yeah.
They can be an amazing addition to a mental health support system, offering another avenue for help,
Right.
but not the only one. So it's about finding the right combination of resources and support that works for each individual, and recognizing that AI can play a valuable role in that journey.
It's about expanding our options, recognizing that technology can be a powerful force for good in mental health care when used thoughtfully and responsibly.
Okay, so one thing that I also thought was really interesting is that Alomia's AI doesn't use any personal information, like your age, gender, or location.
Yeah, that's a deliberate choice. That reflects their commitment to user privacy and anonymity. They really want to create a space where people feel safe to share their thoughts and feelings without worrying about being judged or identified.
It really kind of challenges this old idea that
Yeah.
you need to know everything about someone to help them with their mental health.
Sometimes the most healing thing is just being heard and understood, regardless of your background or circumstances.
Yeah, it's a reminder that human connection goes beyond labels and categories, and that everyone deserves a safe space to express themselves
Absolutely.
without fear of judgment.
That's exactly what they're trying to create.
So Michaela also kind of dug into how generative AI actually works. And I got to say, I found her explanation pretty fascinating.
Oh, yeah. What part resonated with you?
Well, her analogy of searching for cute kitten videos on YouTube really helped me understand how these things called transformers, which are a key part of generative AI, actually function.
Yeah, it's a great way to visualize that concept of attention. Just like, we focus on specific videos that match our search, transformers selectively process the most important parts of a text. So instead of looking at every single word, they zero in on the words and phrases that are most relevant to understanding the meaning of the conversation.
So it's like the AI is actively seeking out the important stuff, not just mindlessly processing every word. It's like it's actually paying attention.
Exactly. That's so cool. It's a much more sophisticated way of understanding language than just reacting to keywords. And it's a big reason why, these generative AIs are so good at having natural sounding conversations.
Okay, so Michaela also talked about how they train these AIs
Yeah.
using this massive amount of text data.
Yeah, and it's important to remember that it's not just about feeding the AI any old text. The quality of the data is really crucial. It needs to be representative of real human conversations and reflect the variety of ways that people express themselves.
And it sounds like Alomia really takes that seriously. I mean, they decided to discard more than half of the data they initially gathered.
Yeah, they weren't willing to settle for just having a lot of data. They wanted to make sure that the data they used was accurate, nuanced, and truly reflective of human experiences.
So it's like they're trying to create an AI that feels genuine and relatable,
Yeah.
not just robotic or artificial.
Exactly. They wanted to build an AI that could connect with people on a human level. And that starts with training it on data that reflects the richness and complexity of real human communication.
Right, and they had a whole team of psychologists
Yeah.
working alongside the developers to make sure the AI was learning the right things and using its knowledge ethically.
Yeah, that collaboration between the tech experts and the mental health professionals is so important. It ensures that the AI is not just a technical marvel, but a tool that can genuinely help people.
And Michaela even mentioned that the early days of pitching their idea for an AI therapist were really tough, especially before generative AI became more widely accepted.
It's fascinating how their vision was kind of ahead of its time. They saw the potential of this technology, before a lot of other people did.
And they stuck with it. Even when there was skepticism, they kept gathering data, building their system, because they believe in the power of AI to change mental health care.
Yeah, it's a testament to their dedication
Yeah.
and their belief that technology can be a force for good in the world.
It's inspiring to see how their perseverance has paid off.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder what other groundbreaking ideas are out there, just waiting for the right moment to take off.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be alive. We're really witnessing the birth of these new technologies with the potential to revolutionize how we live,
Yeah.
how we work, and how we care for ourselves.
And AI therapy is a perfect example of that. So Michaela shared some really interesting details about how Alomia's AI handles these sensitive situations, like when a user is expressing suicidal thoughts.
Oh, yeah. What stood out to you from that part of the conversation?
Well, her analogy of feeling like you're drowning was just so powerful. It really captures that feeling of being overwhelmed and hopeless.
It highlights that sense of urgency and desperation that can accompany those suicidal thoughts. Like you're being pulled under by a current that you can't escape.
Yeah. And Michaela talked about how even in its early stages, their AI was able to provide support by just keeping people talking, letting them express their pain and feel heard.
Yeah, it's a reminder that sometimes the most important thing we can do for someone in crisis is to simply listen without judgment, to offer them a space to vent, to cry,
And,
to share their burden.
and that act of listening
Yeah,
can be a lifeline, a way to help them stay afloat.
exactly.
She also mentioned developing this red button algorithm, which is like a safety net, right?
Sure.
It can detect signs of crisis in conversations and alert human professionals if needed.
It's an incredible example of how technology can be used to prioritize user safety. It's like having a guardian angel watching over the conversation, ready to step in if things take a turn for the worse.
So even though the AI is providing support, there's still that human element involved, ensuring that people get the help they need when
Well,
they need it.
exactly. It's a great example of how AI and human intelligence can work together to create a more supportive and responsive system.
The interview ended with Michaela emphasizing that. If you're struggling, it's always important to seek professional help.
Absolutely. While AI therapists can offer valuable support and resources, they shouldn't be seen as a replacement for professional care.
Right, they can be a great addition to a mental health support system.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important to remember that human therapists have that specialized training and experience that AI can't replicate.
It's about finding the right level of care for your needs, recognizing that AI can play a role in that journey, but it's not the whole picture.
This whole conversation has been so eye-opening. It feels like we're on the cusp of a major shift in how we approach mental health care.
It's an exciting time to be exploring the possibilities of AI, but it's also important to approach it with caution and critical thinking.
Right, we need to be aware of both the potential benefits and the potential risks, and work together to ensure that AI is used ethically and responsibly to improve people's lives.
It's a conversation that needs to continue as this technology evolves, and it's a conversation that we all need to be a part of.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive, but there's still so much more to explore.
Yeah, in the next part, we'll take a closer look at the broader implications of AI therapy. We'll examine both the potential benefits and the challenges we need to address. As this technology becomes more integrated into our lives, so as we dig deeper into this world of AI therapy, I think it's crucial to consider not just the tech itself, but also the bigger picture, how it fits into our lives, and the current, mental health landscape.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've talked about the good stuff, like helping people who might not have access to traditional therapy. But what about the potential downsides? I mean, the article, Artificial Intelligence and Positive Mental Health, touched on some concerns about AI and bias.
Yeah, that's a really important point because AI systems learn from the data they're fed. And so if that data reflects existing biases in society, the AI can unfortunately pick those up too.
Right. So it's like
Hmm.
if the data mostly comes from a certain type of person, say, people from a specific background or economic status, the AI might not be as good at helping people who are different from that.
Exactly. And that's why it's so crucial to have diverse and representative data.
Yeah.
When you're training these AIs, we need to make sure that they're learning from a wide range of human experiences so they can help everyone, not just a select few.
And then there's the whole issue of data privacy.
Yeah.
People are sharing some pretty personal stuff with these AI therapists. So how do we make sure that information is kept safe and secure?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Data security and privacy are absolutely essential when it comes to AI therapy. We need strong regulations and safeguards in place to protect that information and make sure that it's not misused.
It feels like we're at a real turning point in mental health care. I mean, this could be a game changer, but we need to make sure we're doing it responsibly.
Yeah, I agree. It's an exciting time, but also a time for caution. We need to embrace the potential of AI therapy while also being aware of its limitations and taking steps to mitigate any potential risks.
So in the interview, Michaela talked about how they collected this massive amount of data, like 22,000 text-based therapy sessions over 2 years.
Wow, that's an incredible amount of information. And it really highlights one of the unique advantages of AI therapy,
Yeah.
which is its ability to gather and analyze data on a scale that simply wouldn't be possible with traditional methods.
Yeah, that kind of data could lead to some amazing breakthroughs in our understanding of mental health. I mean, we could identify patterns, predict outcomes, and develop more effective treatments.
Absolutely. Imagine being able to create personalized therapy plans based on a person's specific data profile. That's the kind of power that AI brings to the table.
But it also makes me think about data overload. Like, how do we make sense of all that information?
Mm.
And how do we ensure that it's used ethically and responsibly?
Yeah, those are crucial questions, and ones that researchers and policymakers are actively grappling with right now. We need to develop robust data governance frameworks, clear guidelines for data sharing, and mechanisms for public accountability.
It's a fast-evolving field. And we need to make sure that the ethical and social implications of AI therapy are carefully considered as the technology advances.
Absolutely. It's important to remember that technology is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill.
Oh.
So we need to be mindful of both the potential benefits and the potential risks, and work together to shape a future where AI is used responsibly and ethically to improve mental health care.
So one of the things that Michaela emphasized was the anonymity factor of AI therapy. People can reach out for help without worrying about judgment or stigma.
Yeah, that's a huge advantage, especially for people who might be hesitant to talk to a human therapist for those very reasons.
Like, think about issues like addiction or trauma, which often carry a lot of stigma. AI therapy could provide a safe space for people to explore those experiences without fear of being judged.
Yeah, it could also be helpful for people in cultures where mental health issues aren't openly discussed. AI offers this discreet and private way to access support.
It's about breaking down barriers and empowering people to take control of their mental well-being.
Exactly. And that's a really important step towards creating a more supportive and inclusive society.
So Michaela also talked about training their AI to be neutral when it comes to things like race, gender, and sexual orientation.
Yeah, that's so important because we know that human therapists, despite their best intentions, can sometimes have unconscious biases. But with AI, we have this opportunity to create a system that's truly impartial and non-discriminatory.
So it's like creating a level playing field where everyone has equal access to support, regardless of their background or identity.
And that's a really powerful idea. It means that everyone can feel seen, heard, and understood, and that their unique experiences are valued.
It's about recognizing that we're all human, and we all deserve support and compassion.
Exactly. And AI therapy has the potential to help us achieve that in a way that's never been possible before.
I remember Michaela mentioning that they received letters from people saying that Alomia's AI actually saved their lives. That's a pretty amazing testament to the impact it can have.
It's incredible, isn't it? It really speaks to the power of human connection, even in the digital realm. Sometimes just having someone to listen to validate your feelings, and to offer a glimmer of hope can make all the difference.
And for some people, an AI therapist might be the only source of support they have, especially if they're facing barriers to accessing traditional therapy.
Yeah, and it's important to remember that AI therapy is not about replacing human interaction altogether. It's about expanding our options and providing additional avenues for support.
Right, so it's about finding what works best for each individual and recognizing that AI can play a valuable role in that journey.
Yeah, technology can be a powerful force for good in mental health care, but it's crucial to use it thoughtfully and responsibly.
So in the interview, Michaela talked about the importance of using diverse and representative data, including information from people who have experienced trauma and abuse.
Yeah, that's essential for ensuring that the AI can effectively support a wide range of individuals, including those who might have unique needs and experiences.
Right. I mean, trauma can have a profound impact on mental health. So it's
Oh.
important for AI therapists to be able to recognize and respond to those challenges sensitively and effectively.
Yeah, and trauma survivors often struggle with trust and vulnerability, and AI therapy can provide a safe and non-judgmental space for them to process their experiences.
Yeah, and it can also be a helpful stepping stone for people who might not be ready or able to talk to a human therapist. They can start with AI.
Hmm.
and then gradually transition to other forms of support as they feel more comfortable.
Exactly. It's about meeting people where they are and providing them with the tools and resources they need to heal and grow.
So Michaela also shared some interesting insights into how Alonia's AI handles crisis situations, like if someone is expressing suicidal thoughts.
Yeah, their red button algorithm is a great example of how they've prioritized user safety.
Right, it's like a safety net. That allows the AI to detect warning signs and alert human professionals if necessary.
Exactly. So even though the AI is providing support, there's still that human element involved, ensuring that users get the appropriate level of care.
It's a really smart way to blend technology with human expertise to create a more responsive and supportive system.
Yeah, technology can be a powerful ally in mental health care, but it's crucial to use it thoughtfully and ethically.
Well, that brings us to the end of part 2 of our deep dive into AI therapy.
Yeah, and the final part. We'll shift our focus to the future. We'll explore the potential advancements and challenges that lie ahead as AI therapy continues to evolve.
Okay, so we've talked about where AI therapy is now and some of the big questions it raises. But what about the future? Like, what could this all look like as the technology keeps advancing?
Well, it's an exciting time to be thinking about the possibilities. One area that holds a lot of potential, I think, is personalized AI therapy. So imagine an AI therapist that's tailored to your specific personality, needs, and
Oh,
experiences.
so instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, it's like having a therapist who really gets you.
Exactly. The AI could analyze, your language patterns, your emotional responses, even things like your sleep and activity data to create a truly individualized treatment plan.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like having a therapist who knows you inside and out and can provide the most effective support possible.
And as AI technology develops, we might even see more immersive forms of interaction. Like think virtual reality environments where you can practice coping skills, or AI companions that provide emotional support throughout your day.
So it's like having this personalized mental health coach
Yeah.
right in your pocket. But of course, with these advancements come new challenges. Like, how do we ensure that personalized AI therapy doesn't become too intrusive? How do we protect user privacy and autonomy as AI gathers more and more personal data?
You're right. Transparency is key. Users need to understand how their data is being used,
Yeah.
and they should have control over their own information.
And we need to be careful that AI isn't used to manipulate or exploit people,
Hmm.
especially those who are already vulnerable.
Absolutely. Ethical considerations need to be at the forefront of AI development. We need to build systems that put people first.
Another area I'm really curious about is using AI for early detection and prevention of mental health issues.
Oh, yeah, that's a fascinating area with a lot of potential. So imagine an AI that can analyze your social media posts, your text messages, even your voice patterns to identify early warning signs of, depression, anxiety, or other conditions.
So before someone even realizes they're struggling, the AI could flag potential issues and connect them with resources.
Exactly. Early intervention can make a huge difference in mental health care. The sooner we can identify and address issues, the better the outcomes are likely to be.
But I could also see that leading to some problems, like false positives
Yeah.
and overdiagnosis. We don't want to create unnecessary anxiety
Right.
or make people think they have a problem when they don't.
Right. That's why it's important to use AI as a screening tool, not a diagnostic tool. It can raise red flags. But human professionals should always be involved in making any final diagnoses and treatment decisions.
And we need to think about the potential for stigma and discrimination. If AI is being used to predict mental health issues, we need to make sure that information is protected and used ethically.
You're right. We don't want to create a system where people are labeled or discriminated against based on their mental health data.
This all kind of leads to a big question that both excites and worries me. What role could AI play in addressing the global mental health crisis?
Oh, that's a question with both immense hope and significant challenges. Mental health resources are desperately lacking in many parts of the world.
Especially in low-income countries, where access to therapists is extremely limited.
Exactly. And AI could potentially bridge that gap, providing basic mental health support and education to millions of people who wouldn't otherwise have access.
That could be revolutionary,
Yeah.
especially for people facing isolation, stigma, and a lack of resources.
But we need to be careful about simply exporting Western models of mental health care. AI needs to be culturally sensitive and adapted to the specific needs and beliefs of different communities.
Yeah, we don't want to impose our values on others or create this one-size-fits-all solution that doesn't respect cultural differences.
It's a complex challenge, but one that's worth exploring. AI has the potential to transform global mental health, but we need to approach it thoughtfully and with a commitment to equity.
So after all of this, what does this mean for our listener, who's been with us on this deep dive into all this information about AI therapy?
Well, we've seen how AI is already shaping the landscape of mental health care, and the future possibilities are incredible. But it's important to remember that AI is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used in both positive and negative ways.
Right, we need to have these conversations to think critically about both the potential benefits and the potential risks.
Exactly. We all have a role to play in shaping the future of AI therapy and ensuring that it's used ethically and responsibly to improve lives.
And as AI technology continues to evolve, it's more important than ever to stay informed and engaged in these discussions. The future of mental health care is being shaped right now,
Hmm.
and we can all be a part of it.
It's a future that holds immense potential, but it's up to us to ensure that potential is realized in a way that benefits everyone.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into AI therapy. It's been a fascinating journey, and I hope you found it informative and thought-provoking.
Thanks for joining us.
And remember, if you're struggling with your mental health, please reach out for help. There are resources available, and you don't have to go through this alone.